The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 180 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, January 20th, 2021, James. It's 2021. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, it's been a little over a month now, not a little longer than...
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. It's been, it's a new year.
Yeah.
We're out of that dreadful hell that was 2020.
Right.
And we're trudging along into a new hell that is 2021.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Eric, I am, I know it's the off season, so, we jump around a little bit. But what a historic day for us to be on this podcast. We've got so much going on outside of NASCAR. We've got, big things happening, especially here in Michigan, across the nation, but especially here in Michigan. We have a new leader, Eric.
Yeah.
Of the Detroit Football Lions. You
nice.
didn't think I was going there, did you?
Nice.
Yes.
No, I had no idea where you were going. You gave me a warning beforehand, and I didn't know where you were going. It's official, huh?
Yeah, Dan the Man Campbell, Detroit Lions. So yeah, we are. We like to share our Bears-Lions rivalry on the podcast. And
right.
We just so happened to be recording on the day when we introduced our new coach, who has bigger biceps than probably anybody besides The Rock. So.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. That's what has consumed my attention. I don't know about you.
So
I know there's other things going on, but
the Lions can suck under a whole new leader.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yep. Everything's still going to be sucked and terrible and awful, but we got a new coach, which we do every 2 years. So
today is a historic day for another reason, but I'm going to save it for the shout out.
Oh, yes. Good.
I'm going to tease it.
The tease. Oh, that's the radio tease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find out why Eric is excited about 2021 when we come back
there
after
you go.
this.
So, yeah, it's 2021. We've been, a month and a week or a month and a couple weeks since we've done a podcast. Figure we probably should get back together and do one before the season starts because we're not too far away at this point.
Yeah, it's creeping up on us, man. We're inside 30 days now.
Yeah. We're going to do a little bit different thing today. Instead of just hitting the news items, we're going to we got a few topics we're going to discuss with some subtopics with them and just chat things up a little bit about some of the stuff that's happened over the off season. James, let's just kick it off. Let's start with the one that was the topic, a major topic of conversation all through the 2020 season, starting during the pandemic and continuing on. Despite the fact that he wasn't in NASCAR, and that's Kyle Larson. We got all kinds of Kyle Larson stuff. So Larson won his second Chili Bowl Nationals in a row last weekend, which was a pretty spectacular event. I paid the big bucks, got Flow Racing, watched every night of the prelims, a bunch of the alphabet soup on Saturday, and all of the finals on Saturday night. And it was a good show. It's the first time I've ever watched Chili Bowl. That's cool. It was good stuff. And Larson, Christopher Bell battling out, first and second coming to the checkers. Well, almost coming to the checkers, and then Bell hooked it and barrel rolled through the turn, and that was the end of the night for him.
Wild ride. Yeah, the sphincter of every employee at Joe Gibbs Racing got real tight.
Right. It is amazing on that little tiny racetrack how much those suckers can fly.
Yeah, and it seems like it's so soft. There's a slow motion video of his flip. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
Taken from the infield, and oh man, this great shot. But it looks like it's so gentle.
Yeah.
Even though it's super violent.
I'll tell you what, man. I want to do that. I want to run one of those midgets. Those things are so cool. And then the Chili Bowl, they don't have to. There's very few rules. It's basically an outlaw race. So they trim all kinds of weight and do all kinds of stuff that they couldn't do for the regular season with them. So they're pretty tricked out machines. And, they can lighten some stuff because the speeds are a lot lower. They don't have to worry about the high impacts and stuff like that. And every one of those suckers is trick. And it was fun to watch. Kyle Larson, man, just again, the dirt thing, he's just smoking everybody. And
Well,
James, he's coming back to Cup. He'll be in the 500.
Yep.
What do we think? I mean, is he going to come out? Is he going to take this momentum and come out on fire in the Hendrick car, or is he going to have to take some time to learn to get back where he was?
Right. Yeah. And I think, I think you and I are going to get into this even more. I think, we always do our preseason before Daytona episode, and we'll do a bunch of picks that we'll get wrong,
right.
and do that thing. But, to give a little bit of that away, I am unsure about Kyle just yet, but I think Hendrick being on the rise and his talent is going to take them very far. I really think he's going to come in there. And it may take a year to become the best driver at that camp, but in the next year or two, he will be the best driver. And that's I say that with the Cup champion on that roster. He will be the class of that entire organization before it's too long.
Interesting.
Because I think he's going to come back and I don't know. I mean, he's overachieved in NASCAR Cup Series racing with what he had underneath the hood. Now he's got all the tools.
Well, it's interesting that you say that though, James, because you're saying he's going to bypass the champ, but the champ has kind of been broadening his horizons and doing pretty well on other equipment as well. He did run the Chili Bowl. He didn't make it into the main events, but ran the Snowball Derby. He's running the 24 Hours of Daytona.
He's expanding his horizons. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And so I don't know. It's going to be an interesting rivalry over there, I think, between those two. Man, I feel like the stars are aligning perfectly for Kyle Larson this year. In that, that team is excelling or coming up right at the right time for him to come back with all of the momentum he has. He's got to be coming in with confidence.
Well, and you know what, too, Eric, is what driver can you ever think of that's had a bigger carrot dangled in front of them to perform?
Right.
He's got, Rick's back in the bill for this car. We haven't seen any sponsor announcements, paint scheme announcements. It's been very subdued. We know he's driving the 5. We don't know what it's going to look like. We have an idea of the color scheme just based on merchandise, but that merchandise is number 5. There's no sponsor there. So it's just been very low key on the announcements. And I think Hendrick wants it that way because they're banking on this dude to he's going to make his name winning races and collecting trophies. And he'll be fully back when he gets to that point, when he starts doing that.
And it just shows the ability that Hendrick has to feel the car. I mean, we've seen it happen at Stuart Haas when Gene Haas wanted to bring Kurt Busch in. But that's what Hendrick's doing here is there. We've seen, like you said, we've seen the fire suit, we've seen his hauler, and there's not a sponsor on anything except for HendrickCars.com.
HendrickCars.com, that's just Rick Hendrick.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's Rick signing the checks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you too. I think we've got our answer between him and Chris Bell. Chris Bell is the best midget racer in the world. Kyle Larson maybe the best dirt racer in the world. After that performance. I mean, Kyle Larson's year on dirt was just something spectacular. I mean, just absolutely spectacular. To cap it off with another Chili Bowl. That guy, I know he went through a lot, but dude can drive, and that has not changed.
The thing to keep in mind with the Chili Bowl too is that Bell's got some wins in the Chili Bowl. He beat Larson in the Chili Bowl, but Larson in the Chili Bowl was like Dale Earnhardt in the Daytona 500. Larson was there multiple times and would get a flat tire or blow an engine or whatever. Something would happen to keep him from winning that race. He had other wins lined up there that he didn't get because something went wrong. So now that monkey's off of his back,
pile them up.
I mean, just we've watched videos. I think we've talked about it here on the podcast of what Larson can do in a dirt car. It's amazing. That's those two. That's a great dirt rivalry. I'll tell you, watching those guys, especially in the midgets.
Oh yeah, between the two of them, they've claimed first and second or right next to each other since 2017. They've pretty much owned that place.
Yeah. One other one that I wanted to point out and just jump on real quick here and just give some credit to in the Chili Bowl. There were a lot of Cup drivers, a lot of NASCAR drivers, a lot of people with NASCAR backgrounds running in the Chili Bowl this weekend. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he came up through.
He He can drive dirt cars.
Yeah, he came up through, and I mean, he ran really, really well and ran really smart races. And for, we call him Recky Spinhouse for a reason, but, the kid's got some skill, and it was really fun to watch him. I was rooting for him there in the Chili Bowl. It's good to see Rico Abreu racing. Yep. I love Rico.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up because that was kind of a, underground sponsorship with Rowdy Energy, and I kind of watched that happen on social media because I follow Rico.
I'm so wondering, do you think that was organic, James, or do you think that they planned that?
Seemed like it. It could be planned. If it was planned, well done.
Yeah.
By Kyle Busch and Rico, because I thought that was well done, and it seemed organic to me.
For anybody who missed it, Rico basically was pleading with Kyle or suggesting that Rowdy sponsors the car for the Chili Bowl, and Kyle jumped on it and said, "Hey, send me a looking
race car too.
Send me a design." And Rico sent him, tweeted him a picture of what the car would look like, and Kyle said, "Sign me up." So
I love it.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
I love it, man. Yeah, I don't know if it was right. So full disclosure, I work in the marketing industry, and usually I have a pretty good sniff test for stuff that's pretty fraudulent. And this seemed like it was pretty organic to me. Like this just kind of happened.
Yeah.
But Rico's such a wild dude.
I wouldn't put it past Rico doing it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it, just putting the call out.
Well, he tweeted out that he fired himself from his own racing team.
Yeah, right.
Now, so I don't know what he's going to. I don't know what he's awesome, dude. I really, when he got into the truck series, I really had high hopes that he was going to sneak his way up to maybe the cup level at some point. I never expected him to light the world on fire, but man, yeah, he's a 2-time champion of the Chili Bowl, so he knows how to get it done there.
Yep, I was bummed when he exited the truck series because he
went ass over tea kettle once too.
Yeah,
he has a good video of him wrecking and then just fluids falling, into his face as he's hanging upside down. Oh man, those guys are nuts. Just a bunch of crazies.
Back to Kyle Larson. We found out earlier during the off season about his new spotter, Chris Moniz, and then very shortly thereafter, Chris Moniz was no longer Kyle Larson's spotter.
Yeah, we have really great conversations with we have our friend Todd. We've talked about many times on the podcast. Shout out Todd. But we're always trying to one up each other with news and sharing stuff. And this was probably the most ridiculous of the stuff that we were sharing back and forth, because it got real fast for Chris.
So I have been quite vocal on this podcast of I wouldn't say dislike, but my annoyance of Nick Bromberg. But man, credit to Nick Bromberg for being way better at HR work than Hendrick Motorsports is.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I was shocked. I was shocked.
It just goes. We won't get into what all it was. I mean, you guys probably have read the story by now.
Search it up. Yeah, you can find it.
But it just goes to show you that you got to be careful what you say on social media. Be careful what you do on social media, especially if you're in a public-facing job.
Yeah.
So Tyler Mann.
It's not
Tyler Mann
is
now the spotter for Larson.
Yeah, congratulations, Tyler Mann. That's the opportunity taken right there. But this wasn't a political thing either. It was deeper than that.
Yeah.
You don't fire somebody over political leanings like that. People can do the research on it. There's stories on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris is out of the job. Tweeted that he got the job, and what was it, 2 or 3 days later, out of a job. So I don't know what he's doing now.
Yeah, the background didn't match up with the previous suspension of the said driver.
Oh, and that's the thing too. You know what, Eric? That's part of this too, though. The stuff that Chris was sharing on social media, sure, that could have come up with any driver.
Right.
But when you get attached your name to Larson and all the baggage that's going to come with that, the fact that you were tweeting what you were tweeting and you're now associating yourself with Kyle Larson just can't fly. You can't do it. You got to be better than that.
The good news is thanks to this and a lot of the happenings in the U.S. over the past few weeks, we have, if anybody didn't know what Kenny Wallace thinks of things.
Oh my God, the Wallace brothers! I'm telling it. I have my campaign. You know it. I've been tweeting it. Save Rusty. We cannot lose Rusty over what his brothers are doing. Keep Rusty safe. We got to put him in a bubble.
Right. All right, we won't get into that. So Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart was in the news last week.
Yeah, man.
He so we'll talk about Tony Stewart here, but we'll relate him to Larson here to begin with. A lot of people.
I don't know where you're going to go with this, by the way, Eric, because I don't know if you ever responded to my message. Like I sent you guys the article, and I think you must have been busy that day or something.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, that's good. I'm excited to hear what you say.
How angry he was or seemed in the article, you mean?
Very angry. He was very.
It was very Tony Stewart. I mean, it was, and he was talking to AP. Was it Fryer that wrote the story?
Fryer, yeah.
Yeah.
Fryer,
so of course he gets fired up when he's talking to Fryer anyway.
Yeah,
and so, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't mincing any words, but a lot of people criticized or were kind of down on Stewart for not being able to pull off the Larson deal and getting him in a Stewart Haas car. But Tony says that he tried, just couldn't get the backing to do it.
Yep, and he said that a while back too. So
Yeah.
he's been pretty stingent on that opinion that he had interest in Kyle Larson, and I don't know how that makes Chase Briscoe feel or not, or whoever else on that team. But yeah,
I think if you're Chase Briscoe, you're pretty happy with where you're at. I don't think
you have to understand. Yeah, and I think any driver at Stewart Haas just has to understand.
Yeah.
Like you've got Kyle Larson available. I mean,
well, it's not like Briscoe brought a ton of sponsorship with him either. He's brought some, but he's not. He's not rolling in it.
Right. Well, it's like right now in the NFL, Deshaun Watson is available, and he's a generational quarterback, and he is stingent. He is not coming back to the Houston Texans. And I mean, there's one team in the NFL who is not interested, and they've got Patrick Mahomes. You've got a guy, and that's Kyle Larson. You've got a guy that's that good, that's that generation talent, and you got to look at him, no matter who your driver is. I mean, hell, you're Rick Hendrick. You make room, even if Jimmy Johnson's not retiring. If that's Bowman or Byron or whatever, that's you make room. You try to find a way to get that guy in your roster.
Yeah, definitely. And then so with this article, there was all kinds of Tony Stewart news that came out of it, which is pretty good stuff. Stewart also, we were down on NASCAR for making the decision to pull from Eldora with the Truck Series, and Stewart says, nope, that was not NASCAR's decision. That was his decision. Sounds like the biggest thing behind it was
anger.
Yeah, exactly. So NASCAR, when they announced the Bristol deal, or were getting ready to announce the Bristol deal, that's when Tony heard that they were going to run the Cup Series at Bristol, and he had planned on. I mean, he used that truck race as a showcase as to why they need to get Xfinity and Cup to Eldora Speedway. And when
he showed them away.
Yeah, when NASCAR said they were going to go to Bristol, he basically went to him and said, "Hey, any plans to bring those series to Eldora?" They said, "Nope." And he says in the article that he
tore up the contract.
Yeah, tore up the contract. That was it.
I mean, do you blame him, Eric?
No.
Do you think he was in the wrong there? I
no,
mean,
100%.
Really did.
I mean, Stewart has been calling for a Cup race since the day after the first truck race there.
And we've disagreed with him on it.
Yeah.
We thought well, you may have changed.
Here's the thing. I've changed, James, this year. After 2020, I've changed because I realized how unimportant it is to have 70,000 people at a Cup race.
That's right. Yes.
They don't need the giant stands at Eldora to run a Cup race there.
Nope. Just sell the tickets you got.
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I mean, I would, I'm cautiously optimistic, but very skeptical about the Bristol dirt race.
Me too.
I would not be like that if we were running them at Eldora.
Yeah, I would be much more confident in Eldora or Knoxville. Hell, Knoxville, Charlotte dirt track, an established dirt track. Yes, I would be much more confident in what we're doing.
I'm concerned with them tearing the track up at Bristol.
That's the rumor is.
Yeah,
that's what they want to do,
right?
They want that place to be ripped to shreds so they can repave it.
The problem is that they need to get through that weekend. So that's my concern, is that the track won't hold up for however many laps they're going to run that race for. So
and my thing too is I don't like losing a Bristol date for. We're losing an asphalt short track for a gimmick show. That's where I'm leaning at this point right now. And I hope NASCAR proves me wrong. I hope that Bristol race is outstanding. But
there's no way. There is no way, James, that they're going to put dirt down at Bristol every year.
They can't.
Look at what's going into that.
Look at what's going into that.
Yeah, the dirt's going down now.
It's a mess. Yeah, it looks like a terrible mess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like a lot of work and a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yep.
I don't know.
Stewart also, there were rumors. We talked, I think, a little bit on here that maybe NASCAR decided not to work with Stewart because of SRX. He says that's ridiculous. He said that if basically said that if NASCAR or somebody's concerned about him and Ray Evernham in a 4-race series or a 6-race series, whatever they're doing,
yeah, 6-race series, yeah,
that there's bigger problems. So
that's really good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It's a good article. Go to the show notes, thesuperspeedway.com, read it. Jenna Fryer, AP News. It's classic Stewart, man. It's
Yeah, he's firing on all cylinders right now. And you know what though, too, Eric? He's got his squeeze now.
Yeah.
Leah Pruitt, drag racer. Leah Pruitt.
Yeah.
So he seems to be much happier and doing his thing. I don't know.
Much happier. Doesn't sound like it, but good for him.
I mean, well, he's happy with that portion of his life, or the business side of his life. I'm not so sure of. But,
right.
I wanted to talk to you about SRX really quickly though, because I know you're skeptical of.
I'm very skeptical of it. The Fast and the Furious Old Man League.
The Old Man League.
Yeah.
The guys who can still wheel it. However, now that Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin have both via Twitter said they're in. Yeah. They're in for the floater car. Are you a little bit more intrigued for that seat?
I'm intrigued about it, James. I just don't think it's going to be what everybody wants it to be.
Here's my fire back at you right here, Eric. And I said this, I'm going to say. Tony Stewart does not get behind bad things. He invests in things that are going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, if the thing is, I mean, you've got, I guess you can't really necessarily say Evernham's got a proven track record. He's kind of hit and miss.
He has been hit and miss. Yes, I do agree with you there.
I mean,
Ray Evernham has been hit and miss.
That being said, a lot of his miss in Cup was due to more than just his skill. I'll just leave it at that. But
bad investing.
Yeah,
for his team was another part of that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But he's done well with like his classic car stuff, his racetrack ownership stuff has seemed to work well.
Look, I loved IROC. I thought IROC was the best series out there, in the last 5 years of IROC sucked. So if we can get good IROC, then I'm all for it. I don't know. I'm super skeptical.
Here's what I'm seeing, and we've been doing this podcast, Eric. We're coming up on another anniversary. This will be our 4th year of the pod.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe. Like, where the hell is time gone? But here's the Eric Young playbook. Eric comes in skeptical. Something happens on the track. Eric gets excited, and then Eric becomes all in.
Oh yeah, I hate something until I love it. That's
exactly
very true, 100%.
So I feel like if you're skeptical, we're definitely where we want to be.
Here's why I'm skeptical. All right, so here's my biggest concern. So they announced their schedule.
It's the wing. You just don't like the wing.
I hate the wing, but they announced their schedule. June 12th, Stafford Motor Speedway, first race for the SRX series. The problem that I have is they had this really big splashy video that they put up on Twitter, and there is not a single thing in there that shows anything from this series. NASCAR is switching to a new car next year. But NASCAR is switching to a new car next year, and they've been working on it for 3 years, James. They don't even have a car yet.
Well, the cars are being built. They exist. The chassis are there. They just haven't had testing time yet.
Have you seen one?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of the cars. Yeah,
put together.
The chassis, not completely put together, but the chassis are there. They have chassis.
Whatever.
They do exist. The cars exist. I've seen the chassis.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical.
It's okay, Eric. You can be skeptical.
I hope I'm not. Look, I'm not saying this is going to be a disaster. I'm just saying I'm skeptical.
I just think it's going to be great to see some of the old dogs get back out there.
Yeah. I don't, because I mean, we've seen the old dogs get back out there before, and it really isn't, there's a reason they don't race anymore.
That's true.
I mean, Tony will be fun to see. Tony
Kanaan
they're
not wheeling out 90-year-old. I mean, Derek Cope, we're going to talk about this. Derek Cope's going to run the Daytona 500. It doesn't get much old dog than that.
So here's the 8 drivers on the SRX website: Tony Stewart, Tony Kanaan, Mark Webber, Willie T. Ribbs, Paul Tracy, Elio Castroneves, Bobby Labonte, Bill Elliott.
Paul Tracy.
Who are you really excited about there? Tony, Elio,
Tony, Bobby, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch.
Bobby, really? You're excited about Bobby Labonte? Come on, man. Bobby Labonte hasn't been competitive. Bill Elliott hasn't been competitive. Tony Kanaan really hasn't been competitive.
Can we talk about Paul Tracy really quick?
I don't want to.
I am so proud of myself for getting blocked by Paul Tracy.
I forgot you got blocked by. Yeah, I think you win the Twitter battle.
That might put me.
See, I would get bothered if I'm blocked by somebody. I'm blocked by one person that I know of, and it's a hockey rumor person for the OHL. And it drives me crazy. I actually follow him on my alternate account just because it bothers me so much that I can't see his tweets.
You got to admit that when you found out I got blocked by Paul Tracy, the Paul Tracy,
I was proud.
You had to have exactly. I was just gonna say that you had a sense of pride, like, wow, James really did it.
Well, and the best thing is your tweet was so simple. I don't remember what it was. Just something like, "This is the dumbest thing I've seen today," or something like that.
Yeah, this was what did I say? No, this is a really dumb tweet. Yeah. Because it really is all it was.
It was beautiful, though.
And it got to him. I got to him.
Yeah, because there were people saying worse things that he hadn't blocked.
I know. I have never been more proud of my Twitter presence than I was when I got blocked by Paul Tracy.
So when I put you on the
moments, and that one's
when the Super Speedway puts you on the SRX beat, now you can't report on Paul Tracy because you can't report on his tweets.
Know who I am. I know. I won't be able to retweet him or any of that.
Yeah. Why is Elio black and white? Everybody else is color on the site. Elio's black and white.
I don't know.
I don't understand. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. I'm skeptical. Very skeptical, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. Well, again, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm just skeptical.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So
I have high expectations. So either way, we're probably going to meet in the middle here.
Probably.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm less skeptical about SRX than I am of Cup cars at Bristol on dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm worried about the Cup cars on dirt.
Yeah.
You think they're really? So here's my one last thing on Bristol on dirt.
Yeah.
One last thing. You think NASCAR's going to put all this time and investment into the new next gen car, and they're going to run that on dirt next year?
That's why I said this is a 1 year thing. There is no way they do this next year.
Unless they hang on to old. What are they going to do? Hold on to old chassis for the dirt race every year?
I don't know. They're going to have. It looks like there's a ton of extra ones with all the cars running in the Daytona 500 this year. Hey,
yeah, no kidding.
How'd you like that transition?
That was great. We are on top of our game.
Yeah, it's like we never stop, James.
Nope, I know.
I still call out the transitions, which is
kind of the transitions. We bumble around.
Yeah,
we do what we do.
So fantastic. Yeah, Daytona 500 coming up just a couple weeks, and there's a bunch of drivers entered in this race, James. Bunch of them. I don't even know what the number is now, but there were over 40.
Yeah, I want to say it was 44 last I saw, but it could be higher.
I think it's more now because we've gotten additional drivers. I don't think McMurray. Yeah.
Those guys, yeah.
Yeah, so Derek Cope will be running the Rick Ware Racing Chevrolet. It's his last Daytona 500 start, James, officially.
Yeah, right.
Well, if he makes it, it's his last. Oh, no, he will make it. That's right. He's guaranteed in.
He's guaranteed in, yes. Yeah. He won. So I tweeted this out and I messaged you guys, but I want to say it on the podcast. He was 31 years old when he won the 1990 Daytona 500, which was 31 years ago. Oh my God.
That's crazy.
He's going to be 62. Oh my God. He shouldn't be out there. Yeah. Should not be out there. I don't understand why he's going to be out there. It really bothers me. This one bothers me. Yeah. He's too old. Shouldn't be out there. I'm glad he patched the deal together to get out there, but Derek Cope does not belong out there. I don't know. It doesn't seem safe to me.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that.
No, sorry. I know. I feel like I'm Debbie Downer there, but he doesn't belong out there.
Austin Cindric, we found out, will be running the 33 Team Penske Mustang.
I have problems with this too.
What's your problem with that, James?
They're taking the lead engineer from the 12 car to run this car. Why are you doing that? Why are you taking away from your full-time from your full-time team?
Yeah, I don't know. Because it kind of sounds like this car is going to run multiple times this season, though, James.
I see that. I know.
And so it kind of leads me to believe that this isn't a, hey, we're going to replace Ryan Blaney, or hey, we're going to replace Matt DiBenedetto. This is a, hey, we're going to run another car.
If I'm Ryan Blaney, I make a phone call.
Think so?
Yeah, and there's probably nothing you can do about it, but I just, why are you messing with my team? I don't understand that. You're racing for the Daytona 500 and a championship with Ryan Blaney. Just put another team together without messing with what you got. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Penske's smarter than I am, so forget what I say and just go with it. Just go with it. Who am I to challenge Mr. Penske? Shame on me.
Yeah, Penske knows, James.
Yeah, I have no problems with the rest of the Daytona 500 lineup, by the way. It's just those two. You put them right next to
those
each other.
Ones. Yeah. All right, let's run through the other ones then. Jamie McMurray is going to start another Daytona 500 after a year off last year. He's going to be driving the 77 Spire Motorsports car.
The video of his kid getting excited about this is what it's all about.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
That's cool. I mean, if you're going to run a one-off, this is the one to do it. McMurray's done it before. Good for him.
He shows up to the big ones, man. He shows up to the big ones.
Yeah. Kaz Grala gonna run for Colleague Racing, which really surprised me that it wasn't AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah, me too. AJ's good at these big tracks. I don't know. But yeah, Kaz can run. He can run.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel weird about some of these guys that are getting opportunities. That I don't know. It just seems odd. But Noah Gragson, the 62 Beard Motorsports car. Yep. He will attempt to start. And Ty Dillon is going to run for Gaunt Brothers and working on a deal to run multiple races with them this season.
That's cool. Yeah, Ty's really trying to do this on his own without Papa.
Yeah.
Or Pappy, or whatever they call him.
Pop.
Pop. There you go. Thank you.
It's Pop.
It's Pop. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Ty can get something put together. Ty Dillon's a good guy. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, the skill level might not be there. It might also just be he hasn't been in competitive enough equipment. But he's a good dude. He's a good guy. I've talked to him a few times. He's fun.
Yeah, and he had pretty decent success in the lower series.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's not a slouch by any means.
No. Yeah, and Austin, Austin was definitely the better of the two brothers.
See, I didn't think so coming up. I thought Ty was gonna be better than Austin.
Yeah. Austin did win the Xfinity title, and Ty never did. But Ty won some races in the Truck Series.
Yeah.
But he only won, I'm looking at stats right now. He won 3 races in the Trucks, 1 in the Xfinity Series. He did win 9 out of 22 starts in the ARCA Series. So that's pretty good. Well, there you go.
Man, the wind is whistling outside right now. It's crazy.
It's crazy cold here in Michigan right now. Crazy. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear you. We got some new paint schemes announced. We won't go through all the paint schemes, but there were a couple that I wanted to bring some attention to because we had some discussion outside of the podcast. William Byron's Exalta paint scheme, James. What do we think of that?
Gross.
I think it's a great scheme, except for the black, the matte black.
Screwed up with the matte black.
Why the hell would you put matte black in a paint? It's a paint brand, for God's sakes.
Exalta's cars have been really bad.
A couple of years. Last year's wasn't bad. I liked last year's car.
I didn't like that. Yeah, I didn't like the faded out.
I take that back. It was the 88 Exalta car, I think.
The 88 Exalta car was good.
Yeah, that's the one I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That one. And then our buddy Lefty Designs has an alternate version, or a couple alternate versions, which are a million times better. I wish somebody would. Hendrick just needs to hire that guy.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
He's really good.
He's got a good eye for what he's putting on cars. He just knows. He knows what to do.
Yep. And then Alex Bowman, the new Ally scheme, came out as well.
I like this car.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better than the Exalta one. Again, Lefty had a better version, I think, but
the color, you call it the Color Rush. I like that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good looking car. Looks a little different. It's gonna be weird seeing.
It looks fast. It looks fast.
It'd be weird seeing somebody else in that 48 car, but it's weird. Still weird seeing somebody in the 24. So
they took the yellow out of the number, but I noticed on the front of the car, it's like a little like paying homage to to Jimmy with a little bit of that yellow splash, that neon yellow 48 on the front.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of nice touch.
It's cool. Bubba Wallace got a sponsor, his first sponsor, DoorDash. Car looks pretty similar to what we'd already seen, just with DoorDash on the side of it.
Yeah,
so
it's a good looking car. I don't know how it's going to race just yet, but
yeah, we'll see.
I mean, that team's going to have lots of good paint. There's a lot going on with that 2311 team. I'm excited to see.
I'm skeptical of that team for the same reason I'm skeptical of SRX, James, because
I think
it's pretty late to be building a team.
I think you and I are probably going to be talking more about this one in the preseason when we get closer to Daytona and what we expect from teams. But
right.
I'm going to step on my toes a little bit here. I think that team needs to shoot for a playoff berth, and I know it's going to be very tough, but I think that is the ceiling for this team. Find a way to make the playoff.
Yeah.
Somehow,
that's
some way.
Definitely a successful season if they do it.
Yeah, that's for me. You don't even have to win a race. Find a way to make the playoff.
Yeah,
that would be
you win a race. You like accomplish both.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. But I just think any way that they can make the playoffs, I think is well worth there. They got to have some sort of success this first season. I don't know. I don't expect them to light the world on fire, but by year 2, that team better be in good shape. I think if they keep building for that first year, this year kind of, this year is what it is, but next year, if they're focusing on next year with the new car, I think they could do some stuff. They've got the pieces in place. They've got the sponsorship dollars in place. They got a good driver. I think he can do a good job. So, yeah, get done.
There you go. NASCAR is still considering pushing their numbers back on the door for 2022 with the new car. What do we think about this? I know we've had a lot of off air podcast or discussions about this, but
yeah. I'm coming around on this with the number moving, but here's where I'm going to stand firm. Let the teams give the teams a box to put the number in, and let the designers design around it. Yeah. Whether that's in the center of the door, pushed back or pushed forward, just do something. Don't standardize it if you're going to push it back. That's my pushback. No pun intended, I guess, but that's my pushback is don't sell out for all of it, because fans clearly don't like it. So I don't know why they want to do it, but
yeah, the teams I think if it all depends on the design and we've talked again off air that it comes down to good and bad design, and we have good and bad designs with the numbers where they are now. There's some cars that look pretty awful right now, Exalta. And so I've seen some examples of cars. We saw some examples in the All-Star race of good designs with this setup. And then again, Lefty Designs was putting some stuff out with the number placement moved as well, and he had some good designs too. So if you get the right people to make the right design, it's going to look fine. It's just a matter of there's going to be some crappy ones too. I get why they want to do it with the sponsors and making the sponsor logo bigger. I just don't see how it makes a big difference to me. Right. I don't think it makes it more visible than where it was before, but I'm not a casual fan that's just, flipping through the channels either. So maybe to somebody who just happens to stumble across a race on TV, this makes more sense. Obviously it's what the sponsors want, because if it wasn't, then they wouldn't be doing it. So. Right.
Exactly.
Couple other things I wanted to discuss real quick. I kind of hinted at the, some people getting shots, or that maybe, I don't know, just surprising things with Cup. Anthony Alfredo moving up to the Cup Series with Front Row Motorsports. This one to me, I like Anthony Alfredo. I don't think he's ready for a Cup ride, man.
No, he's not, but he's got a great nickname if he would just embrace it.
He does.
Sauce. He likes to call himself Fast Pasta, and that's where I have an issue right there. You've got it right there, man. The sauce. Come on, embrace it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you're right. Skill, talent wise, I don't know if he's ready for Cup. But
it's just, this is like, no Gregson's running the 500, but to run the 500 versus running a full season is two different things to me, and I don't think Gregson's ready. So it just I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is one of those. I don't.
We're
know
gonna
if
see more of this crap. It's gonna happen more and more and more.
Yeah. You're gonna have guys moving up that aren't ready. Quite a bit.
The thing is that nobody's going to continue to spend money on veterans that aren't performing.
There's a young lady in the truck series who's currently on probation who's going to be creeping up sooner than she's supposed to as well.
Yeah. Should we talk about that, James? Because that's not the notes.
I don't know if we need to. Haley Deegan, she said stuff.
Yeah. Haley dropped the R word. If you don't know what the R word is, look it up.
Eric is not surprised by any of this. Eric is in the Supercross game and is very familiar with the Deegans.
I don't say that as like the Deegans are not ready for prime time or anything like that. It's just they're
not a politically correct family. They just
exactly. And
she's a little immature.
I don't fault them for that. I don't know. It was a dumb thing to say. But
immature. She's a young person, and it was an immature, dumb thing to say.
It was a dumb thing to say, James. But I'll tell you what: if it was anybody else, other than Haley Deegan, other than a female driver with a major push that said that during a live stream, nobody would have batted an eyelash.
That's probably true.
So
that's probably true.
This kid is not. She's gonna have the spotlight on her. She's gonna be looked at through a microscope. And I get why, because it's a big deal, but it's not fair either. I mean, I sit back, James, I sit back and look at the Danica stuff even. Like, look, I was sort of a fan of Danica in the beginning, and in the end, it was pretty obvious that she didn't have what it took to be in the Cup Series. But just things that people still say, comments they still make about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and whether Danica's there at the Chili Bowl with them or whatever. And it's like, for God's sakes, people, she's like, seriously, just this chauvinism, just, oh my gosh.
Danica and Patrick and Aaron Rodgers broke up, and Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP this year. That's all I mean, that's just results.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But I mean, that's the thing though, is like, it's not fair, the crap that they get. And I get it. It's just how things are. And I think we're getting better, but we're nowhere near where we need to be with it.
I think,
we need to have a woman come in here and kick some ass in the Cup Series and just get rid of all this. And then
we have to remember how young these people are.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s now, and it's like, I think that some of the things that the drivers do are really stupid, but they're also, a lot of them are kids. She's a kid. She James, really is a kid.
I'll be 40 this year, and I still say stupid stuff all the time.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
So.
Yep. We all do.
We talked about Bristol already. They have hit their limit for the grandstands for the Cup race. They'll have limited seating. So the dirt race has at least got some popularity with the fans. Yeah,
as much as they can. I wish we weren't in a pandemic to see what it could have done. Regardless of,
Yeah, that's the worst thing, is they're putting all this money in to do this, and they can't even sell the tickets for it.
It's a TV product, and now and NASCAR knows that this is a TV product, and we're going to do this, and it's going to get eyeballs, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
NASCAR does not care about in-person attendance at all anymore.
No, they don't. They don't report it. I mean,
the only track they care about in-person attendance is Daytona 500, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
The rest of the season, they could care less. They could care less if they had one person in the grandstands, as long as the TV money keeps coming in. I stand by that.
Yeah, I agree. Pitbull's now part owner of Trackhouse Racing.
I have no what to do with this.
I mean, it's a mainstream celebrity involved in NASCAR. James, don't you kind of get a feeling with Michael Jordan coming in, with Pitbull now coming in,
Floyd Mayweather lurking?
Yeah, with this new car and the supposed lower cost, and now we've got a bunch of entries for the Daytona 500. Don't you feel like we're getting that second blast of popularity in the sport. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing, because this is the group that came along that NASCAR catered to, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that is only here because it's cool, and they'll leave without batting an eye later, and leave us looking like idiots. But don't you kind of feel like we might be digging into that again?
I don't know. The Michael Jordan one seems different to me, because of everything that went into, getting Bubba Wallace and getting Michael involved. That seems different to me. And we went, we have past episodes on that, that we've talked deeply about that. The Pitbull one, I think he'll come and go. The Floyd Mayweather thing has been lurking for a long time. This is kind of like, it seems like it's reverted back around to when we had Randy Moss and Brett Favre and Dan Marino and who else? Troy Aikman. Gosh, we had so many sports figures coming through. I feel like we're retreading some of that a little bit, but I think it doesn't hurt to have these people involved by any means. It doesn't hurt at all.
I feel like, we've got all these changes coming. I feel like there might be a peak coming again. Don't get me wrong. I'm not delusional. I don't think we're going to hit 2006 again. Never in a million years.
It's a lower peak, but yeah, we might have a peak.
Are we going to compete with the NFL? No. I mean, those days are over. But I think we might see a little boost here. Again, I'm not saying that's a good thing, because I don't know that the casual people that we're going to get coming in are really going to do a lot in the long term for us. I think they hurt last time, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do like one thing I will say though, this time around, whatever this peak is that you're referencing, and I agree with, it's a diverse peak.
Yeah.
Bubba's got this thing going with Michael, and with Pitbull coming in, there's some diversity there that we haven't had before.
How great would it be if the Bubba Wallace Michael Jordan team can compete for a championship?
Yeah, I would love that. Like 2022.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but
yes, I want to see. Man, and we got Michael Jordan, like, he's popular again because of that damn documentary that was so good.
Right.
We got him back. I'm so excited to have Michael involved in the sport. Like, it is so cool. He's the greatest athlete of all time. Like, he's the guy. So he wants to be part of our stuff. Which is great. I love it. And NASCAR, Eric, with we lost our GOAT, when he should have been around. So to bring in guys like Michael and that, I just think our sports always needed that person, and there's always been a little bit of a hole there, and we've never been able to fill it. But if we can continue to bring in people like this, I think we're making steps in the right direction and holding the fort down, which we've continued to try to do for the last however many years. Dale Earnhardt's been gone to, what is it now? It's gonna be 20 years.
Yeah.
This year.
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's really crazy.
Jeez, oh man, yeah, that's 20 years. Wow. Yeah. 2001. Yeah, that was. You know how much has happened since that? I mean, golly, 9/11 and everything else. But yeah, jeez, oh Pete.
Shoot, just the last 4 years.
A long time. Yeah, I know, it's been a long time. Just to show you how much the world has changed right around NASCAR. I mean, that's a moment in the history of NASCAR that changed everything.
Yeah, I swear the last 4 years took about 10. So.
Yeah, it certainly
especially
did.
The last year. God.
Yeah, it certainly did. Yeah, last year took
and that
10
is
years
that
off
is
all
not political commentary, guys. That is
it was the year itself. Just took 10 years off our lives.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we're all dealing with something, obviously, but I don't know, man. I just like I like where we're at with this sport right now. There's interest, and if we want to get guys like Pitbull involved, I don't like Floyd Mayweather, but yeah, if he wants to come spend some of that money, come on. That's fine.
I don't really like Pitbull that much, but
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not a fan of his music, but if he's got money to spend, man, come on, let's go. You want to come racing? Let's go race. We want to have our arms open to people, and if they want to be a part of it, we continue to welcome them in and show them a good time. That can only be good for us, Eric. That can only make things better.
Yep.
So we're in a better place today because we have a Pitbull involved, whether you like him or not, or you like his music or not. it's a better place because we are able to provide these people with influence, entertainment, and they can be involved.
Agreed. All right. Did we miss anything, James?
No,
I'm
man.
sure. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Little things that we didn't get into, but no, I think that was the quick rundown, the quick dirty rundown of the off season so far. It's weird. That was a long hiatus for us, Eric.
That was. I think that's the longest we've ever
had.
Gone. Yeah. Yeah, I had some personal stuff go on and stretched it out a little bit longer, and just had to take a little bit of a break over the holidays and back at it now. I think we'll probably, unless something crazy happens, probably take next week off again, and then I don't know. We'll probably be getting back into the groove of things here pretty soon.
Weekly, yeah. We're going to be coming back at you weekly. Probably
is it the 14th
before the 500?
14th, 500.
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
My wife said to me today, I didn't bring it up. She just said it. I heard that the Daytona 500's on Valentine's Day. To which I snarked a little bit. Well, what are we going to be doing anyway? So,
nice.
I know. So I'm in the doghouse.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where are we going to go? What are we going to do?
Right.
We're still stuck here with two kids. One of them being still an infant. So we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
This is our lives.
Yep. Good stuff.
So what have you been, I was going to ask you, Eric, though, what have you been doing outside of, work? I mean, have you guys done anything interesting?
Okay. So I will
the pandemic?
I will break it down for you. This is what I've been doing. I have found a new obsession, James. It is not NASCAR Heat 5, though I did purchase NASCAR Heat 5 based on your advice.
Yes.
I played a couple races to start my career in the dirt, and then I went back to what has been my obsession for the past
Supercross.
No, actually. It's been my obsession for the past few weeks, but prior to that. So way back when I bought my Nintendo Switch, I bought a rally game. It was WRC 8, I think, for the Switch. Ooh. And I played it a little bit and whatever. And then I remembered that I bought WRC 7, or I got WRC 7 for free through PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation. And so I'm like, well, I'll play it play the older version on a better system, just see what the graphics are like. And I kind of got into it a little bit. And then I remembered that way back I purchased the disc for Dirt Rally. And so I started playing that, and I started playing the Rallycross series on there.
Oh, nice.
And there's only 3 tracks in the game. But I became obsessed with it, and I played it a ton and made it most of the way through the series and through the career, and then decided to buy Dirt Rally 2 because it was on sale. And Dirt Rally 2 has been my obsession. I have went through the Rallycross ranks. I'm running the full rallies right now. It's a pain because I don't have a wheel, so I'm just doing the controller.
Yeah, me too. I do that too. Yeah.
So that's a bummer, and I don't want to invest in a wheel for the PlayStation because if I'm going to do it, I want to invest for the computer.
So you compete against Travis Pastrana and that whole crowd?
Pastrana's not in the game. They don't. I don't. I guess I don't know Rally well enough to know if they've got like legit names in it or not. But it is the Rally, what is it? Who runs the FIA? Whatever the FIA is, Rallycross, World Rallycross, I think it was what it is. Yeah. It's their official series tracks in the game.
Oh, nice. So is the track in Atlanta, Michigan in there?
No, because that's not a
that's the
World Rallycross.
Snowdrift?
Yeah, that's I forget.
I'd be interested in playing that since that's my deer hunting stomping grounds. But
yeah,
just want to check for accuracy, that whole thing.
Right. So I basically bought the game for the Rallycross, and now I've hit a point in the Rallycross where it's too challenging and I can't win anymore. And so I switched over to the regular rallies, and that's been, like I said, the last 2-3 weeks. It's just been
nice work, man.
Every chance I get playing that.
Nice.
Much to the chagrin of my wife.
Yeah, I'm sure she enjoys that you're playing video games. Yes.
Yeah, she's not thrilled. I've not been a big gamer, and I still don't. I mean, I play it for an hour and then go do something else. But I've been going back to it almost every night. So
well, like I think I told you I got back into playing some video games during. I mean, the pandemic is just what else are we gonna do? So
right, exactly.
So I got NASCAR Heat 5 and hadn't played NASCAR in a long. Like I had never played any of the other Heat games, so I've been playing that. Working my way through the career mode, and when I turned it on, I did what I did in the old days. No assists, no like none of that stuff. Just go at it, and the hardest difficulty you can possibly do. And
you
that's how I
went
started my
hardest you
career.
could do, huh?
Yeah, right off the bat.
Damn, I went one notch down.
Yeah, I went as hard as I can go.
So you're gonna be way better at it than me.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I was doing really good. Like, I won the dirt championship, and then I got to the truck series, like a lower level truck series team, and did okay. And then started getting into the higher level stuff. And I raced for Stuart Haas in the Xfinity series, and I blew the championship on the last turn. And I was like, I want to run the Xfinity series again to win the championship. I was so angry that I was gonna run it again, but now I just bumped up to Cup, and I took Clint Boyer's seat. So
nice, of course you did.
So yeah, well, I raced a full season for Petty, and that did not go very well. I was able to win 2 races, but that's just, I figured Bristol out, and I was able to win those 2 races. So I made the playoffs and did pretty well, but that was the end of that for the Petty ride. I could not win anywhere else. I was terrible. But I signed up with Stuart Haas, took Boyer's ride, and went out and won the Daytona 500. So I'm off to a better start.
Nice.
And that's where I left off my heat. That's as exciting as it gets, talking video games.
Yeah, I mean, that's been me. I'm going back to the office now. Started this week, so I was going back a little bit before the holidays, and then when the holidays hit, we tried to
leave the house.
We tried to cool it so we could go to family and see family and stuff, and then things were like pretty crazy and bad acts, so I stayed out of there just with their numbers going up, but they're back down now, so
yeah,
pretty comfortable going out there again, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm back to work
there's
tomorrow.
There's your pandemic update.
Yeah, I took today off for the inauguration, forgetting that it was the inauguration, and yeah, so
it's hilarious.
Yeah, but any shout outs, James?
Yes, I'm trying to think. You go first. Let me think about it.
So I teased my shout out at the beginning, and then I don't remember where I read it, and I don't have all the details to it, and I can't find it now, and I'm afraid it might be wrong. But I read an article today.
Let's see if I've seen it.
I cannot for the life of me figure out where it is, but supposedly today is the anniversary, and I don't remember. I think it's the 20-year anniversary of the first podcast. I did not see this. Except that if you do research on it, it is not. But they reference that in the article, that there are other podcasts that are considered the first podcast, but here is why this one was. And I should have saved it. And then I'm like, I'm not going to say it on the podcast. And then you brought up the historic day thing, and I'm like, let me tease it out there. And I've literally spent the entire show trying to find it. I don't know if it was on Reddit. I don't know if it was on one of the news sites I go on. Like I said, I was off today, so I was reading a ton of stuff online and just browsing around. And so I'll find it as soon as the podcast is done.
That's so great.
But yeah, supposedly this is today exactly is the 20-year anniversary of the
happy
first
birthday
podcast.
To the podcast. Yeah. Yes. Now there's only 20 billion podcasts.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well,
if you're not doing a podcast, you're not living.
I had to go back and think, because I was listening to podcasts. If anybody knows anything about me politically, you'll enjoy the fact that I paid money, actual dollars, to subscribe to the Bill O'Reilly podcast back in the day.
Oh my God, Eric!
Yeah, and I used to have to download it on iTunes on my computer and plug my iPod Nano into my computer to load it onto that, so I could listen to it in the car.
Yep.
And so I was trying to think when that happened, but that was I'm certain it was after 9/11 because it was when Bush was in office.
Well, then this can be my shout out too. Then we'll share it. Right. Podcast stories. My first podcast, and I didn't even really know what it was back then, but it was Bill Simmons back in like 2007, 2008. And he was just talking basketball and pop culture all the time. And I used to read his articles, and then he was like, well, I have this podcast. And I'm like, podcast? What the hell is that? So I started listening to him, and then he kept going, and he built the website at ESPN with Grantland, and they had all their podcasts, and it was all the stuff that I was into. And I'm like, oh, cool. There's, stuff about TV and movies and, the NFL and the NBA and all this. I'm like, cool, I'm in. And then it's just grown ever since. And now I've had to prioritize what podcasts I listen to, but now I'm subscribed. I was looking the other day at how many I'm subscribed to, and I can't even listen to them all anymore. I have so many that I'm subscribed.
Same here. I've got a ton to
Ridiculous.
download. And
yeah, and it's like I have way too many.
Well, my problem
Way
is
too many
my interests go kind of crazy. So I've got like tons of news podcasts, and then I've got into the true crime stuff for a while. So I've got a bunch of those.
Serial and all those were so good.
And then I've got tons of NASCAR podcasts and all that stuff, and then hockey podcasts, and local podcasts. Yeah, there's a bunch. I cleaned mine out recently. Let's see. Does it tell me how many?
Yeah, but I still listen. I've listened to every episode of Bill Simmons since 2007 or 8. It's been that long since I've started listening, and I really actually, Eric. Now that I think about it, when we were working together at the newspaper way back in the day, was when I was listening to him for the most part. Because I would, write my stories for the paper, and I'd have a podcast on where I didn't have to make phone calls.
How do you write and listen to words?
I don't know. I'm able to do it. I know there's people who are not able to do it, but I am able to work. Like I have a podcast on pretty much all day, or music, and I'm able to do it. I don't know why with my brain, why and how I'm able to do it, but
I'm subscribed to 44 podcasts, James.
Holy shit, dude, that's way more than me. I thought I listened to a lot.
Well, one of those though is a repeat, so 41 or 43. I mean.
Oh yes, okay.
So that makes a big difference.
Well, we're subscribed to our own podcast. I don't know if we listen to that. So
that is true. I listen once in a while, but I've never listened to a full episode, guys.
Yeah, we get too nervous about our voices. Yeah.
No, I just don't like listening to our stuff. I think it sucks.
That's a great sales pitch to end the podcast. Well done.
Right? No, I'm just kidding.
Well done. Listen to our podcast. It sucks.
Right. All right. Like I said, we'll be back in a couple of weeks to I think get back in the groove of things, because if we come back, if we take a week off and come back the following week, we're getting ready for Daytona. So
yeah, we're gonna probably come back. I would say, Eric, we probably should come back with our season preview.
Yeah, we really should.
We're back in it now.
Yeah, we are.
Holy crap! Hopefully, we don't have a work stoppage this year in between what was that, 8 weeks of podcasts we were doing. Oh my god!
Maybe that's why we haven't been as anxious to do the off-season podcast, because we kind of did it in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was interesting. Hell,
4 races in to have to do a basically off-season podcast.
Yeah, and I should say too, Eric. I reached out to my buddy Derek Winter, who is a big iRacer. He does lots of other things, but he's a huge NASCAR fan, and he says he's willing to come on with us sometime.
Nice.
So if we want to get back into the 8 weeks of iRacing talk, holy crap. He said,
James, we need to all get iRacing rigs and start a super speedway iRacing league.
I really want you to do it, because I want to just watch from the outside to see how.
If you and Todd do it, I'll have to do it.
If you did it, Eric, I think it would happen would be the same thing that happens to like a crack addict, where you'd start to lose everything slowly, and then it would like snowball really, really fast.
See, I'm pretty confident I could get support in doing it. But it would erase everything else, all of the other hobbies that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I've got a pretty big wish list right now, and
that's like
if I could run it, if I could run it on a Mac, I'd be golden. But because I have to get another computer to run it.
Yeah. See, I play NASCAR Heat, and I've dabbled in like the old Halo games, and that scratches the itch for me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's the itch I have. iRacing looks BA, and I'd love to get into it, but I can't do it, man. But I'd love to talk to Derek about it a little bit more, and just kind of, ask him what he's doing, how he's, I have so many questions. And some of it's probably about the lifestyle.
Yeah.
That you have to have.
See, the thing for me is like, I don't think I would even, I mean, I'm sure I'd buy the NASCAR stuff just because, but I really want it for the short track stuff. I want it for the sprint cars. I want it for the off-road trucks. Like that's the thing, is there's so many games within this game that like, I used to love playing off-road truck games, and none of them were as good as what iRacing is. And I loved I've always wanted to have a good short track, late model racing game, and that's it. And like, so I don't know. It's so tempting, but there's like right now I could do it. It'd totally be doable. But as soon as life goes back to normal, I don't have time for it.
Right. I know.
And it's a subscription. If you could just buy it and be done, then great. But you got to pay for it. So if you're paying for it constantly, you feel like you got to use it constantly, or it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, James. If people want to talk to you about iRacing or anything else, how can they do that on social media?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. If you want more of the podcast, you can visit us at thesuperspeedway.com. You can find links to old episodes. Our show notes are on there for all of our episodes. You can click on the links and read the articles that we've discussed on the show. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Wherever you heard us today, we hope you subscribe. I still have ambitions of moving the podcast to where I want it to go, but I'm running out of time. So we'll see what happens, guys. But anyway, you can get it on those 3 places for sure. And I will make sure to get it other places this year as well. If you have another platform that you like, such as Spotify or something like that, we'll get it there. If you want to help us out, become a part of the show, you can become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. That's it, guys. We'll be back in a couple weeks to talk Daytona, talk Busch Clash, talk the what the heck are the duels? They just announced the sponsor for the duels, and I lost it.
Just call them the duels.
Yeah, the duels.
I'm done with.
It's the Gatorade Twin 125s, James.
Yes, or it was the Budweiser duels for a while.
Hey man, they're gonna mean something this year. If only for 2 spots in the field or 4 spots in the field, whatever we fill with them now. It's going to matter, at least for a few drivers. So
I'm so tired of sponsorship, different sponsorships. It's the duels.
Yeah.
It's the duels.
Yep.
That's it.
So we'll be back in a couple of weeks to break it all down, preview the 2021 season, and get right back into things. Until then, everybody, it's time to go racing.